Sold as the Alpha King's breeder. Breeder number 1. Chapter 2. You will never return.
This pure virgin body will soon be underneath the most ruthless of alphas. Do you honestly think he will take one look at you as a maid and not want to fuck you and make you scream? I already want that. And I don't know if I should let you go without trying you first.
Derek's words pulled me out of my memory. He sniffed my hair and gave a slight moan. The tears again threatened to spill down my face. You can't. You'll get in trouble. And we don't need to bring that here, I said hoarsely. I'd lost everything. I couldn't let him take my virtue, too.
Trouble? I am not scared of him, Rosalie.
He laughed in a sadistic manner, but his behavior revealed his fear. He stared at me before roughly shoving me away.
Now hurry up and pack your shit.
It wasn't like I had much to pack. The only clothing I had were the few work uniforms that had been given to me for my jobs, and then a pair of leggings I got from an old friend and a few band t-shirts. It wasn't even enough to fill my small suitcase. I'm ready. My words were barely audible, but Derek was watching me from the doorway, and I knew he understood me. I had to find a way out of here. Derek was watching me too closely. I had to get away. But Derek didn't bother to say anything more as he stepped aside and allowed me to move past him. Picking up my bag, I walked towards the stairs, but not before he took the opportunity to smack my backside. I stilled in that moment and started half running away from him.
Why are you running? So eager to see your new master, you whore. Slow down.
Derek also picked up his pace, chasing after me. He reached out his arms, trying to grab my shoulder. I tried to keep the distance and glanced from the corner of my eye. Derek, please don't! He gave me a death stare that made my skin crawl. He was going to hit me.
You dare fucking tell me what to do?
He yelled. I flinched in preparation for the blow, but it did not come. Derek clenched his fists, yet with great effort, he held it back. I was curious what made him stop, when I noticed that our conversation had drawn the attention of the crowd downstairs in the foyer. Within the shadows of the dimly lit foyer were my father, Isis, and a man that I couldn't quite make out. He was very tall, and the feeling he gave off intimidated me. Next to him stood two others cloaked within the shadows. They didn't move, and all I could see were the silhouettes of their figures. As I took in the scene, I heard Isis's light-hearted tune. Doesn't she look beautiful? She was taking her time making sure she was perfect for your arrival, Talon. The Beta in front of me didn't seem to care what my stepmother had to say. His eyes did not leave mine from the moment I saw him.
Do what she said.
The leader of the group directed his order toward Derek. He wasn't loud or rude, but everyone in the room heard him clearly, and I had the feeling that no one dared to disobey him.
Why does she have bruises on her?
Talon's voice was deep and set my nerves on edge. She fell down the stairs earlier wearing those cute new heels, didn't you, Rosalie? I gazed at Isis and my father and saw their stern glares. Yes, the stairs. My apologies, I stuttered before looking back at Talon. Please believe the lie, I thought. Please believe it.
Stairs?
He didn't seem to believe what we were saying, and to be honest, I wouldn't believe it if I were him either.
Yes, the stairs. Why don't we all take a seat and talk about a few things?
My father was trying to get the conversation going, but from the look of the man in front of me, I doubted it would be a long conversation.
No, we don't need further discussion. We already discussed the situation over the phone. Well, Isis prepared a small dinner for you and your accomplices. You must be starving from your trip here. No, we will not be eating.
Then Talon nodded to me, gesturing for me to come closer.
Move!
Derek growled from behind me. I hesitated to take the steps forward towards the newcomers. I was trying my hardest not to cry and felt frozen on the spot, but I knew I had no choice. A smack to my rear end caused me to jump a little, and at the same time, I lost sense of my balance and went to tumble down the steps. I let out a cry. How stupid I was, making such noises in front of the guests. I was done for. I never hit the floor, though. Instead, I found myself in the main guest's arms. Before I could process what had happened, he quickly set my feet upon the floor. He made sure I regained my balance, gave me a nod, and released me. He saved me? Thank you. I managed to give him a smile.
You're welcome, Miss Rosalie.
He did not smile, but I could tell from his tone that he meant no harm. Thud. I heard the cracking noise, followed by Derek's scream.
Ah!
What just happened? Turning around, I saw Derek at the bottom of the stairs. One of the dark, eluding figures was beating him, and it seemed like it would beat to the death. Blood covered the floor. I heard another set of screams coming from Isis. "Please, Beta Talon! Please stop this!" she exclaimed, pleading with the man next to me. Talon, the Beta of Dragamore, was unmoved. Blow after blow, Derek took the beating that was being given to him. He didn't stand a chance against this person. They were relentless. Derek's shrieks were getting weaker, while Isis continued begging Talon in tears. No matter how much Derek rebelled against Isis, he was still her son. I was mortified. I did not like Derek, but if they continued, he might die. I looked towards Talon, not sure whether I should say something to stop them. Luckily, before I could speak, Talon gave his order while he watched the scene unfold.
Stop!
The figure stopped momentarily, but only to wait for further directions.
Take his hand.
No! Please! Don't do this to him! He will never touch her again, I swear! My stepmother was on her knees begging for Talon not to hurt Derek further. He didn't seem to care, though. And my father just stood there, watching. A blood-curdling scream drew my sights back to Derek, and blood pooled around him. I realized his hand was lying on the ground. Only then did the figure step back from Derek and make its way back to its position next to the man who was supposed to be collecting me. I moved one step away from him. I couldn't go with them. The fear that flooded me wasn't like the fear I had when it concerned my father or stepbrother. I was terrified for my life. There was no way I would survive such ruthless cruelty. My father, he couldn't be serious. How could he send me to them? Isis fell on the ground, screaming. She then snapped around and charged toward me. "It's all your fault, you whore! I'll kill you!" She tried to grab me, but Talon stepped forward and blocked her way. However, she didn't stop cursing. "You cunt! If it weren't for you trying to seduce my son, none of this would have happened!"
Control your Luna, Alpha.
The man said slowly, his gaze turning to my father.
Isis, take him to the Pack Hospital.
Were the only words my father got out. "Derek is your son! Do something, Harland! You can't just let them treat him this way!" I had never seen my stepmother this desperate.
Enough!
My father cut her off.
Take him to the Pack Hospital. Do not make me repeat it a third time.
I saw Isis's face turn from shocked to red, and then pale. She looked at my father with disbelief. A few seconds later, she got up, picked up the unconscious Derek and his hand, and left the room with 2 of my father's warriors without saying any more words. Her eyes, as she passed me, said it all, without words even leaving her lips. She wanted me dead.
I am terribly sorry for the trouble, Talon. It seems that my stepson needs to learn his place. I will make sure that he is taken care of.
My father's voice was completely different now. He seemed light-hearted and yet authoritative.
Rosalie!
He called my name. The focus of the crowd was pulled back on me. I lowered my head and could not look him in the eye. Was he really my father? I thought he didn't like me because I remind him of my mother. But what about Isis and Derek? I heard my father continue.
As you can see, Talon, she is a beauty and very compliant. She is such a joy to have around. It almost hurts to see my baby girl go, but she just wants this so much.
He lied. I bit my lips and clenched my fists.
Very well. We need to be going. The payment will arrive in a few days, once the Alpha has seen her. My apologies. I thought we would receive it on your arrival.
I looked at my father and could tell he was getting angry. But something in him was afraid, especially when Talon's annoyed gaze turned to him. He was trying to remain polite towards Talon. I couldn't remember my Alpha father ever being polite.
Yes, to my pack. Are you trying to renegotiate with the Alpha?
Talon said firmly. My father quickly shook his head.
No, of course not. Just a miscommunication. Trust me, I understand how it can be as an Alpha. Making sure the deal is worth it is always important. Yes, just a reminder, Heartland. She is Alpha Ethan's property now. She no longer belongs to you and never will again. She will never return here, ever, alive or dead. She belongs to our pack.
Alive or dead. I looked at my father, and his eyes flickered to me with slight hesitation before he smiled.
That's fine.
My father's words took away my only hope.
Good. We need to go, now.
Talon turned towards me.
Do you need anything else? Is this all that you have to take with you?
I knew I had no choice but to nod.
Very well. Let's go. We have a long drive ahead of us.
Talon wasted no time before turning to walk towards the car. The 2 shadows next to him had moved to my sides. 1 step, 2 steps. I moved towards their car, but every step I took, I became more scared and uncertain about my future. Glancing back at the pack house from outside, I tried to save an image of a home my mother had once been a part of. She would be ashamed of my father.
You will never return here,
Talon said. There was nothing for me to say, though. Nothing I could say would change anything. So what was the point? I stayed quiet and followed him to his car. My life was no longer my own, nor would it ever be.